Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to this exciting webinar class, the first of three series of classes we have structured for newbie traders like yourself at EG Markets. So in today's webinar class, we'll be talking about three different sections of the introduction to the global financial markets. So this webinar will be broken down into three sections. So first of all, we'll be talking about um, a general overview of what the global financial market is. We will then go on to talking about what financial instruments are. So since we are saying this is a global market space, this is a global financial market space. So what are the instruments I will be trading? What are the assets I will be buying and selling in this global financial market? So I'll be talking about that in the second section of today's webinar. Then lastly, to round up this exciting event, if I may say that, we'll then be brushing through trading terminologies, right? So these trading terminologies are terminologies that you should be familiar with as a beginner trader in order for you to really advance in your growth on how to trade global financial assets. So I would officially like to welcome you to this webinar class. It's always my culture when I host webinar classes for newbies that we always try to get to know each other and make the class as interactive as possible. So if you can hear me and you are here on time for this webinar class, I would just like you to say hi in the chat box so that I would get to know you and we can share some pleasantries. Okay, we have Nancy. I want to believe Nancy is a female name. So hi, Nancy. I'm happy to have you here. So it would be nice if you could share pleasantries, introduce yourself. I get to know you. Okay, we have Tuka. I don't know if that's I pronounced that correctly. Tuka, are you Nigerian? Where are you from? And I'm happy to have you here because your name is quite unique. I'll be seeing that for the first time. We're happy to have you here. So, Tuko, what part of the world are you from? I would like to start from this so I get to know you more. And I also want to believe you are a newbie trader, hence why you registered for this webinar. So I would like to appreciate. Well, I would like to thank you for making our time to attend this webinar. I also like to get a minimum of 5 people to, introduce themselves so that I get to know my attendees and I will get this class started. Just in case some of my attendees came late, I was previously talking about what the global financial market is. Okay, you can call me Otinel, Mr. Tuko. This Otinel is even more difficult for me than the previous one I just mentioned. But anyways, we are all financial market traders, so I think we have some similarities. We can connect on that term. So I stay in Mina. Okay, I also believe you are from Mina State, so I'm guessing we have lots of clients around Nigeria and around the world. So I'm happy to have you here. How is Mina currently? I hope you are getting ready for the holidays and rounding up the year. And during this period is when the financial market is always provides good opportunities for you to take advantage of. So you are in the right place at the right time. So as I was saying, this webinar section will be broken into three parts. The first part of today's webinar class will talk about the general overview of what the global financial market is about. We then move over to discussing together and making it as interactive as possible what financial instruments are. When I mean financial instruments, since we are saying this is a global financial market, what am I buying and selling? What am I paying money for, or what am I investing in, or what am I putting down my money to acquire or in an exchange for some profits, right? So I'll be talking about that in the second section of today's webinar. Then lastly, we're talking about trading terminologies, where I'll be explaining to you in as simple as possible major trading terminologies that you need to know as a forex trader just coming into this space. So it helps you with regards to your growth and how well you tackle the financial market to increase your income. So that is how this today's webinar will be structured. Once again, happy to have you all here. We have Nancy, and we have if I can say this, I have a friend from Mina, because both your names are quite difficult for me to pronounce. Apologies for that. So I'll just call you Tio for the sake of this webinar, because your first name starts with T and second name starts with O. So I'm calling you Tio going forward. And as I said, this is the first installment of 3 webinar classes you are recommended to attend in order for you to understand how the global financial market works and how to navigate your way around making some profit for yourself, trading on our various platforms. So I'm happy to have you here in this first class, and I will also be happy if you attend the 2 other classes going forward every Tuesday from today. So having said that, I would like to get this webinar class started, because here at EGM, we try also to keep to time. So we'll get started. So welcome, Theo, and welcome, Nancy. Those are 2 of our most actively engaged attendees in today's webinar. So I would switch over to a different screen where I'll be showing you some materials that we will be using for today's webinar class, and you would also have access to these materials after today's class, so you need not to worry about my pace or not understanding everything I'm going to explain to you in today's webinar. You would have access to these materials, and you can go through them at your own leisure time. There are some rules also with regards to this webinar class. Not really rules, they are just guiding principles. You can always ask questions when you need clarity with regards to what I'm talking about. And if you have anything specific you would want me to help you out with, you can always put that in the chat box, and I would see to that. Okay. So first off, we'll be talking about what financial instruments are. If you can see the new slide I'm on, I have a PDF material here which I use to communicate during my webinar classes. So if you can see what I have up on my screen, which says Introduction to the Global Financial Markets, you can just type good to go, or just type something in the chat box that will make me believe we are all on the same page with regards to going forward. Okay, I'm guessing my screen can't be seen because I can't see anybody typing anything in the chat box. So I would like to share my screen once again. Mr. Tio, if you can see my screen, I would like you to type that in the chat box, or if Nancy, if you can see my screen, let me know, because most times during webinar classes, most of my attendees always struggle with good internet connection. So we always try to make sure before we get going with any webinar class that all our attendees have their internet connection and are well comfortable for today's class. Right, so Nancy just stated that she can see my screen. Okay, thank you for that, Nancy. So today, as I said, we're talking about the global financial market. Okay, Blessing Okwe just joined us. Welcome, Blessing. You are not late in today's class. I was just about to begin the webinar class. So just for benefit of Blessing that just joined us in today's webinar class, I was previously talking about how this webinar class is going to run through. It will be divided into three sections. We have the first section talking about what's giving an overview of what the global financial market is about, right? The second section will be talking about what are financial instruments. When I mean financial instruments, I'm saying since we are talking about the global financial market as a market, then there needs to be a form of exchange, right? A trade by barter, right? So what am I buying or what am I investing in, right? So in the second section of today's webinar, we'll be talking about these various assets you would be buying or selling or investing in order for you to make some profit. Then finally, we'll be talking about trading terminologies, because if you are going to be if you are going to grow with regards to trading global financial assets, you need to familiarize yourself with these trading terminologies, right? With regards to what is PEEP, what do I mean by going long, or what do I mean by buying an asset. So we talk about the fundamentals you need to know in order for you to communicate when you are talking to somebody else with regards to what the financial market is, or just understanding the basics on how to go around your way in the financial market. So I would like to welcome you to this webinar class, Blessing, and I hope you also attend the two other recommended classes that we hold every Tuesday. That will help you to build a good foundation when navigating your way through the global financial market. So not to worry, Blessing, you are in the right place, right? So what is the global financial market, right? So we keep hearing financial market, we can see global, we can see financial, we can see market, right? So I would like to break it down with that regard. So when we talk about global as it states, we're talking about an activity that has to do with the entire world, right? The globe, right? So we are playing on a global scale, right? So we are not limited to Nigerian activities or Ghana activities or activities in my state or activities in Mina or activities in Lagos, right? We are unlimited with regards to global activities, right? So anything you are going to do here in your locality or in your community is the same thing somebody in the United States or somebody in France or somebody in China, you are all doing the same thing, because this is a global space, right? You're not limited by boundaries, right? And when we then talk about financials, I think that is where we are going to Mr. Joshua just joined us. Mr. Joshua, yes, I am here, and thank you for joining us in this webinar class. So Blessing says, I can hear you. Yeah, Blessing, I can see your comments. Okay, we have Nancy typing in the chat box, right? So I see all your comments, and I will address them at the appropriate time. Okay, Joshua says okay, right? So I was talking about the global financial market, and I was saying we are playing in a global space, right? So we have the global financial market, right? So we have global meaning that we are playing on a global stage, right? So we are not limited to geographical location. So we're not limited to trading financial assets of only Nigeria. You can trade financial assets of any geographical location. You can trade financial assets that are in the US, China, France, right, wherever they might be in the globe, right? So you have access to those assets, right? Then we talk about financials, and when we talk about financials, we're majorly talking about money, right? So how do I make money from money, right? So that's what financial is mostly surrounded about. Then next we have markets, right? So I was saying market is simply a place where we have trade by barter, right? So I give you something and you give me something in return, right? So I give you some money and you give me either a good or a service, or I give you some service or a good and you give me some money, right? So if we tie that together, that is where we are talking about the global financial market, right? So we're talking about trading financial assets that are anywhere in the world, right? And when we talk about markets, we are giving somebody some money for a certain asset, and if it appreciates in value, we make some money, right? So that when we talk about the global financial markets, right? And when we talk about the global financial markets, because we know that the world is not just one geographic location, we have different geographic locations in the world, then it's logical to say that the global financial market will be divided into several markets, right? And I'm going to use one of my most famous analogy in order for you to better understand what I'm talking about when I say the global financial market is broken down into smaller markets, right? So I most times use the example of a mall, right? So we have a mall called EG Markets Mall, right? Or the name of the mall is called Financial Market Mall, right? And in the Financial Market Mall, when you walk into the Financial Market Mall, the first thing you see is you have different sections, right? So we have different aisles, right? So we have a section where they only sell electronics. We have another section where they sell only female clothing. We have another section where they sell chairs, right? Then we have another section where you can buy and sell home decors, right? So we're talking about lamps, we're talking about curtains, right? So we have different sections inside this mall, right? And if you want to buy a laptop, you go to the electronics aisle. If you want to buy a female cloth, or you want to buy something for your wife, you go to the female aisle, right? Or if you want to buy shoes or you want to buy footwears, you go to the footwear aisle, right? So also we have in the global financial market, right? So the global financial market is one big market with different sections, right? So we have the section for the stock market. We have another section for the bond market. We have another section for the commodities market. And we have another section for the most popular of them all, the forex market, right? So now you are about to start your journey. I want to believe everybody on this webinar is a newbie, because this webinar class is tailored for newbie traders. But if you're not a newbie trader and you just want to refresh your knowledge about the financial market, this also applies to you. So you are about to start your journey into the global financial market, and you go into this mall, right? So what section of the mall are you going to buy and sell, right? Or are you looking to buy and are you looking to transact across all the sections? So what that means is, are you looking to buy some electronics? Are you looking to buy a laptop? Are you looking to buy some female clothes? Are you also looking to buy some footwears and buy some things for your house or for your office? And you can find these items at different sections in the market, right? So also in the global financial market, as I said, we have the stock market, the bond market, the commodities market, and the forex market, right? So when you want to start your journey in the global financial market, what markets specifically do you want to trade? Do you want to trade stocks where you have the likes of Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Apple, we have Tesla? Or are you willing to trade bonds, right? So when we talk about bonds, we're talking about government bonds or bonds of companies that they've issued to the public, right? Or are you looking to trade only commodities, right? Are you looking to go long on gold, or are you looking to go short on gold, right? Do you want to trade copper? Do you want to trade silver, right? So you find all that in the commodity section under the global financial market. Or are you willing to trade currencies? So for you to find, where you find currencies is under the forex market, right? That is the forex section or the forex aisle in this mall, right? And the mall here is the global financial market, right? So you need to know, what section am I coming into play in, right? Am I looking to stick to one market in the global financial market, or am I looking to trade across these various markets? And when I talk about these various markets, I'm saying, is it the stock market? Is it the bond market? Is it the commodities market? Is it the forex market? So you need to decide at the get-go, what market am I looking to play into? Because this helps you to be more, it helps your growth, right? It helps your concentration, right? Or do you want to play across this market? It depends on you, right? But the main point here is the global financial markets, it has different sections you can play in, right? Because I know most people, when they hear I'm going to trade financial market, the only thing that they know when it comes to the global financial market is forex or currencies, right? So today I'm telling you that the global financial market is not only about forex. We have other markets, or we have other aisles that you can, see how you can make some profit for yourself trading assets in those markets, right? So what's the financial market? Most people call the financial market the capital market or Wall Street, right? And when we talk about the capital market just simply means money. So money market, right? And the reason why most people call it the Wall Street is because, Wall Street is a popular geographic location in the US where we have a lot of activity with regards to financing, investing, and all whatnot, right? So that is why most times most people label the global financial market Wall Street, or they call it the capital markets, right? And before I go on with this webinar, I also like to tell you, you can go ahead and ask questions in the chat box if you're not clear with regards to what I'm showing to you today. And if you have specific questions you want to ask me, you can also type it in the chat box, and I would see that I give you some more clarity on with regards to your question, right? So now, why do people actually trade in the global financial market? Why would you, as a trader, want to partake in the global financial market? So before I even talk about that, I would like to hear from our attendees. As I said, I always like my class to be interactive. I want to know where you are with regards to the global financial market, so I know how best to tailor the support I'm giving to you in this class. So, right? So I want a few of my attendees to write in the chat box, why are you actually here? Why are you in the global financial market? Why have you registered an account with EG Markets, funded your account, or you've kept some money somewhere that you want to use to make some profit for yourself? So why are you taking those actions, or why have you done that? I want to know. I want to hear from some of my attendees. I want to know some of your desires, right? So if you can just type that in the chat box, I would. Okay. Blessing just asks, what do you mean by go long and go short? Okay. I would address that, Blessing. Before I address that, Blessing, will you just give me tell me why you actually are here in the global financial market? Why did you open an account with EG Markets? Why did you fund it? Or if you haven't funded your account, why are you taking steps to save money somewhere that you would use to see how you can make some profit for yourself? Why are you doing all that, right? So I want to know why you are doing that. Okay. Nancy says, I want to have an extra source of income. Okay, that's good. According to something I read somewhere, because I always read, it's recommended that you have at least 7 sources of income. So if this is one of them, I think you are taking the right stride in order for you to be financially independent. Mr. Teal says, I believe why we are here is to trade and make some profit, right? So based on what Mr. Teal is saying, he's here because he wants to make a profit, right? So he's the profit-driven trader, while Nancy is the extra source of income seeking trader, right? So we have different motives and desire why we are here, but in general, the main aim is to make some money, right? Blessing says to increase my income and improve myself. Yeah, that's something new. Yes, trading the financial market also helps you to improve yourself. And why I'm saying so is because you get to learn new things about the financial market, which obviously you did not know before. And apart from that, you also learn some things about yourself, because when you are dealing with money, it shows you certain characteristics about yourself you did not know before, right? So Blessing, you are in the right place with regards to seeing how you can make some income for yourself and also to improve yourself, right? So I'm guessing that is the general desire of every other attendees in this webinar. I didn't hear from Joshua. I'm guessing Joshua, I won't say he's a shy person, but he did not say anything. I would like to hear from Joshua too. Let me know why you are here, right? Blessing, you also want to know the meaning of go long and go short. I would address that during the course of today's webinar class, so you need not to worry. So now I know why we are all here. So I will just continue. Okay, I just got one more question. Okay, that's from Blessing, right? So we have given various reasons why we have actually opened an account with EG Markets, funded it, and if we haven't funded it, we are making strides by saving money somewhere, or we are expecting some funds that we are going to use in order for us to see how we can, make some money for ourselves, right? So the two main reasons why people go into the financial market is to be profitable and to be financially free, right? If you look at those two things, most people might say they are similar, but I would like to tell you they are not similar. And the reason why I say they are not similar, I will give you an example of two different traders, right? So we have institutional traders. Those are people we call the banks, right? The high-end investors. Most of them, they trade the global financial market because they want to be profitable, right? Certain people must have given them a certain amount of money, and they require a certain level of returns, right? So those kinds of traders their aim might not generally be for financial freedom, but they are trading because they want to make some profit. They have liabilities they have to meet up. They have investors they have to pay back some money to, right? Then we also have the other section that they trade in order to be financially free. So they are trading because they need money for some expenses, or they have a certain kind of lifestyle they want to live, and they feel the global financial market will drive them towards that goal, right? So those are the major reasons why people trade the global financial market. You are in the right place to capitalize and to achieve those desires of yours if you actually are committed to learning how the financial market works, and thinking long term, right? So you need to keep going at it until you are good and have attained the level of profitability, right? So those are the two major desires, or the two major reasons why people trade, right? So now we are talking about trading the global financial market, right? I don't know if any of you have seen the chart of an asset before, right? So I would go again and ask questions. Have any of you seen the chart of an asset before? That is, the price of an asset moves from 5 naira to 10 naira, or the price of gold moves from $100 per ounce to $200 per ounce, right? So what made the price of the gold move from $100 to $200, right? So there's no right or wrong answer to this, because I know majority of us here are just being introduced to the market. So I wouldn't expect you to get it right. But what do you think would make the price of gold to move from $100 an ounce to $200 an ounce, right? So Mr. Tio says when demand is high. Very correct, right? So when the demand of an asset is high, most times the price would appreciate, because it becomes more valuable, right? And also when there's a limited supply, it also moves the market, because the asset is now, it has become scarce, right? So it also makes the price of the assets to fluctuate, right? So it can move from $100 to $200, or it can move from $200 to $100, right? So demand and supply also moves the market. I don't know if anybody has a different opinion on what would move the price of an asset. So I would like one more person to give me an explanation on why an asset will move from a certain price to another price, right? Mr. Tio, you are right about that. So Ebele Nancy says, okay, sorry, Ebube Nancy says news, right? Yes. News also moves the price of an asset, and I'll explain how news moves the price of an asset, right? So we have two people just give their own understanding of what moves the market, right? So you are both correct with regards to what moves the market, right? So the market moves, right? The market is being affected, or what makes the market to move. There are different things that makes the market to move, but they are generally categorized into four different sections. So we have the news, right? We have central bank policies, we have company results, right? And we have government data, right? So I will touch on each and every one of them. And before I touch on each and every one of them, I would just like to give a quick recap on where we are coming from and where we are currently, right? So when we started, we talked about, we tried to break down what the global financial market is, right? So we took global, right? We said global means the globe, right? Okay. So we talked about the global financial market, right? So we broke it down into three different sections. We talked about the globe, right? So we said we are not limited to geographical location. We can practically buy and sell any asset around the world, right? Then we talked about financial. Financial means investing. Financial means money, right? So we are dealing with money here. Then lastly, we talked about markets, right? Market is a place where we will carry out transaction, trade by barter, right? So if you put all that together, what we are saying is, Mr. Tio, you can transact or you can buy and sell any asset around the world in the fashion or in the same way you go to any market and buy and sell anything. That is simply what the global financial market is. We have the global, we have financial, and we have markets, right? If you put the three of them together, that is what the financial market is telling you. It is telling you that Mr. Nancy or Mrs. Nancy, you can buy and sell any global assets, right, that is made available to you from the comfort of your home, right, or from your mobile phone, right? So that is the power the global financial market is giving to you. Then we try to simplify what the global financial market is, where we said the global financial market is synonymous to a market or a mall, right? So when you go to the mall, we have different sections. We have the section for clothing. We have the section for electronics. We have the section for footwear, right? And synonymously, in the global financial market, we have this section for stocks. We have another section for the bond market. We have another section for commodities. And we have another section for currencies, right? So you need to decide what section of the mall or what section of this global financial market do I want to play in? Do I want to play in one market or do I want to go across various markets? Then we then spoke about why do trade? Why are we here? Why did you open an account with EG Market? Why have you funded your account? Or why have you saved money? Or why are you saving money to trade? A majority of us said, we want to have a certain kind of lifestyle. We want to be profitable, right? And currently, we are trying to understand what makes the market move, right? What makes the price of an asset go from $100 to $200, or what makes the price of an asset to go from $200 to $100, right? And some of us stated news, right? Mr. Teo said demand, right? That is supply and demand. We are all correct, right? So what moves the market? I would like to start off with news, right? So news moves the market. And I would like to make an example out of the current pandemic situation the world is currently facing, right? So when we have news with regards to the new Omicron virus or the Delta virus, which are just different variation of the COVID-19 virus, right? It gives the market a sense of uncertainty, right? So investors and traders like yourself and myself, we do not know what will happen to different countries with regards to their currencies. Will the USA improve with regards to their economic activities? How does that affect the US dollar? Or when the virus comes into Nigeria, is the Nigerian economy strong enough? Will the naira depreciate, right? So news like that would make certain assets to depreciate. And why they are depreciating is simply because investors are removing their money from the financial market, right? And when investors are removing their money, the financial market becomes less valuable because there's no money in it again, or people don't see this asset to be valuable, right? So when investors hear news like this, or when there's a terrorist attack like the one going on historically between Gaza and Israel, or the Palestine, or the Russians and their new counterparts now that the USA is trying to meditate on see how they can come at an agreement, right? All those things cause uncertainty with regards to the currency of the country or the company, right? And that will make investors remove their money. And when investors remove their money, it makes this asset to be less valuable, right? So that will affect the or make the market of that asset to move, right? Then we also have central bank policies, right? So take, for example, the central bank in Nigeria, where we have Godwin Emefiele being the head, right? So if Emefiele makes a policy decision that he wants to tighten the access of currency in the local market, what that means is that the naira becomes scarce, right? So that will also influence the value of the naira. So it can either make the naira to increase in value or make the naira to reduce in value, right? So central bank policies also make the market to move. Then we have company results, right? So if a company releases its quarterly report and we can see that the company is not making enough sales, or the company is running at a loss, obviously investors wouldn't find that company to be valuable. And once something becomes less valuable in the financial market, the price would depreciate, right? Then lastly, we have government data. So when we talk about government data, we're talking about in the USA, for example, is the economy doing good with regards to employment? What is the inflation rate, right? Is the income of a regular or an average citizen in the USA increasing, right? So if all these government data are showing strong growth in the country, it means that the currency will probably appreciate because now the country is becoming more valuable, right? So those are the four major categories of I will call them events that make the price of an asset to either go higher in value or decline in value, right? And as a financial market trader, you need to keep tabs on this of these events, right? So you need to know what the news is saying. What are the central bank policies that are coming out, right? Are they increasing interest rates? This company that I want to trade or I want to buy the assets, right? Is the company making enough sales, right? Is the company running at a loss, right? So all those information would guide your decision on whether I should buy or sell an asset, right? And I remember Blessing was asking, what do I mean by going long or going short, right? In the global financial market, especially in this space we are, when I say go long, I mean you are buying the asset, right? So you are speculating that the price of that asset will appreciate. So you go long, right? And inversely, if you are speculating that the price of an asset will depreciate, that it will go from $200 to $100, you go short, so you sell, right? So Miss Blessing, when I say go long, I mean you are buying, and when I mean go short, it means I mean you are selling, right? So now we are moving forward, right? So how do you access this global financial market? How do I access these assets that I want to trade in order for me to make a profit, right? And the way you can access these instruments is through a broker, right? So that is where EG markets come into play, right? So we have done the dirty work, if I am allowed to use that word, right? So we have done the back end structuring. So here at EG Markets, we have put in place the appropriate structure that would help you to access these global assets you want to trade, right? So that is where we have exchange trader, or we have over the counter, right? So each market falls under over the counter. So we have the middleman, right, between you and these assets you want to trade. So we are making this opportunity available to you through our various platforms so that you can go long or go short on any assets you have chosen to trade, right? Good. So remember, we said the global financial market is divided into different markets. So we have the stock market, we have the bond market, we have the commodities market where you have gold. You can trade gold, lumber, silver, right? Oil, right? You can do all that under the commodities market. Then we have the forex market where you can trade the Euro USD, the Sterling USD, the Japanese yen, right? So here where you trade different currencies, right? And in conclusion, I would like to let you know that the global financial market is one of the largest place where you find exchange of financing, right? And you have different sub-markets, as I said, just the way a mall is structured, right? So when you enter a mall, there are different sections. So also in the global financial market, we have different markets: the stock market, the bond market, the currency market, and the stock market, right? So it depends on where you want to play with regards to your preference, right? So I would like to hear from our attendees, how has the class been so far, and have you been able to find value? And what are the various sections or the various or the various places we spoke about with regards to the global financial market? What stood out for you, right? I would like to hear from our attendees. What have you learned so far that you can quickly implement in your trading, or that you can easily explain to somebody that is new or experienced in this space, right? So just type in something that you've been able to understand so far, so that I know that we are making progress with regards to helping you understand how the global financial market works, right? So Mr. Tio, okay, yeah, Mr. Tio is typing something. What have you learned so far? And are you achieving any level of clarity with regards to understanding how the global financial market works? Ms. Blessing, I also want to know if I've been able to address the question you asked with regards to what going long and going short means, right? I see a few of my attendees are typing. I really like that. I like when we have active traders that are committed and willing to learn how this market works. So I'd just like to hear from everyone before I move to the second section of today's webinar class. Okay, so I can see Blessing. Okay, Nancy says, yes, the class is explanatory and understand more. Thank you for that, Nancy. I hope your newfound level of understanding, you will translate it into some commitment. And when I mean by some commitment, actually learning and placing some trades, right? So Mr. Tio says, I was wanting to ask about going long and going short before Miss Blessing asked. Okay. Well, I now understand this so far. I'm enjoying the class. Thank you for that, Mr. Tio. Then Blessing says, yes, I understand. It means when you want to either buy or sell. Yes, that is what it means, Blessing. So if you are going on the street and someone tells you, are you going long today? So the person is simply asking you, are you buying the asset? Or are you speculating that it's going to go long? Are you speculating that the price is going to appreciate? Or if someone sees you at a restaurant and says, I went short on the Euro USD today. So the person is simply saying, I sold that asset, or I speculated that it was going to drop in value, right? So I'm happy we are making progress with regards to understanding how the financial market works, right? So the second section, we'll be talking about what are these financial instruments I'm actually trading. Since the host of today's webinar is telling me that I can either go long or go short on an asset, what is this asset I'm actually going long and going short on? I want to know. Is this fraud? Because most people keep telling me the global financial market is a fraud. What are they buying and selling? They are taking your money. This person is taking your money, right? I would like to put some more. I would like to put some clarity to that and give you a better perspective of what we do here, right? So now we understand what these various markets are, right? So, for example, you enter into the mall and now you are on the electronics section, right? So obviously, if you are in the electronics section, you would want to buy things like laptop, you want to buy a phone, you want to buy a 10,000 inch screen. I don't know if that is actually has been created, but let us say we have a 10,000 inch screen. So those are the things you'll be buying in the electronics section. So also in the global financial market, right? Remember I said the global financial market has 4 different sections. We have the forex section, we have the stock section, we have the bond section, and we have the commodity section, right? So if you want to trade in the forex section of the global financial market, you would be buying and selling currencies, right? So if you have analyzed, if you've done your analysis and you are speculating that the value of the euros is going to appreciate, you go long on the euro against another asset. I will give another example. Say you are speculating that the value of the US dollar is going to appreciate. All you have to do is go to the forex section aisle or the forex section in the global financial market and go long on the US dollar. Or if you are speculating that the price of the Canadian dollar is going to appreciate, all you have to do is hop on EG Markets platform and buy that asset or sell that asset, right? So you are buying and selling currencies, right? So if a currency is going to appreciate, you buy it. If a currency is going to depreciate, you sell it, right? It's simple as that. There is no atom of fraud or misunderstanding about this, right? So you are transacting currencies. It's similar to the bureau de change, right? But the difference here is that you are doing it online, right? And you do not have access to this currency in physically. So everything is online, right? So if you know, for example, if we give you access to trading the naira, if you know that the naira is going to appreciate in some within a certain period, all you have to do is go to your EG Markets platform and buy the naira, right? So that's simply what you do when it comes to the forex financial market. You are trading different currencies, right? Then we have the commodities market too. Just the same way where if you want to buy orange, you go to the market and you tell Mama Sheung, or you tell Mama Bisola, I want to buy orange. So you give her some money and you buy the orange. It's the same thing you do when you are trading commodities in the global financial market. If you are speculating that the value of gold is going to go from $100 an ounce to $200 an ounce, all you have to do is open your laptop or log into your trading to the EG Markets trading platform on your phone and buy the gold. And when it appreciates in value, you make some money, right? So you are trading these assets, right? But the good thing about it is that everything is done online. So you don't have to carry 1 ounce of gold and put it in your bag. Obviously, that would be heavy, right? So you can just go online, hop on EG Markets platform, buy this gold if you are speculating that it's going to appreciate in value, and you make some money for yourself, right? Then lastly, we have the stock market. So if you are watching Bloomberg, or you are listening to NTA News by 10, or you are on CNN, and the Apple or Twitter or Samsung or any publicly traded company, they bring out their activities. They tell the public that, okay, we have been making good sales in the past quarter, or we have been doing well as a company, right? So what that means is the share price of that company will probably appreciate, right? So if you know this is what is going to happen, all you have to do is hop up on the EG Markets platform and go long on this asset, on this company shares that you are saying is going to appreciate. And if it appreciates, you make some money for yourself, right? You are able to live the kind of lifestyle you want. You are able to be profitable, right? So those are the instruments you trade when we talk about the global financial markets. And everything is online. Everything is on our platform. EG Markets, we have created the right structure for you to have access to these things online. So you don't need to do these things physically, right? So just to give a quick recap, we were talking about what are these instruments I trade. Since we are saying this is a market, what am I buying and selling? And I told you, if you are in the currency section of the global financial market, you are buying and selling currencies, right? So if you know that the currency is going to appreciate, you buy the currency. Or if you know that the currency is going to depreciate, you sell it, right? Or if you are trading in the commodity section, if you know that the price of gold is going to appreciate, all you have to do is buy the gold, right? Put in your trading account number on our platform, put in your password, fund your account, and buy the asset that you believe is going to appreciate in value, right? And for the stock market, if you have an idea of how well a company is the company doing good? If the company is doing good, all you have to do is hop up on our platform and buy that asset or go long. Or if you know that the company is currently doing bad, they are not making enough sales, or they are running at a loss, all you have to do is hop up on our platform, analyze this asset, and go short or sell this asset, right? So those are the instruments we buy and sell when it comes to the global financial market, right? So once again, is one of the rules or guiding principles on our webinar classes. After every section, I want to know if you've learned anything that is valuable to you, that has given you some clarity on how this space works, right? Because since this is a new space you are going into, attaining some level of clarity is important. So if you understand what are the financial instruments you'll be trading, you can just type yes in the chat box, and I know we have attained another level of expertise, right? So now we are no more newbies again. We are no more unfamiliar with the global financial market. Now we know what the global financial market is about, and how we can access it. And now we then know what are the instruments I can trade in the global financial market. So if you are good with that regard, I would like to move to the third section of today's webinar class, right? So once again, if you can see my screen, let me know. If not, so I find the solution to that, right? So we have spoken about what the global financial market is about, right? And the different markets, why people trade, and how to access this market. We then spoke about what are these financial instruments I am trading, right? Am I buying this asset physically, right? And I helped you to explain that you are buying this asset online, right? And EG Markets has given you access to doing that. So now we want to talk about the third section of today's webinar class, where we will be talking about trading terminologies, right? So what are the terminologies I need to know in order for me to get familiar with this space? So I'll be running you through the major trading terminologies you'll be coming across going forward, right? So we have what we call leverage, right? And leverage is one of the peculiarities of this space you are currently going into, right? So leverage simply means support, right? The way the global financial market was structured, and the reason why you are able to buy and sell these assets is because EG Market is giving you some form of leverage, right? We are giving you some support. So what do I mean? If you actually want to buy an asset, right, and you can clearly see that this asset is expensive, or the price of this asset is ₦1,000,000, and you only have $100 in your account. So how then do you buy an asset that is ₦1,000,000 and you only have $100 in your account, right? That is where leverage comes in play, right? So leverage is we are giving you some support. So what that means is we only require that you put down a certain sum of money, right? And the other half will be given to you by your broker, right? So we are giving you some form of leverage in order for you to have access to these instruments you are trading, right? So that is simply what leverage is. And you should also know the more leverage you have, the more your profits, because now you are trading more, right? So also you also stand the chance of losing if things don't go in your direction, right? Because now you are trading more units, right? So in order for you for you to understand this better, I will give a simple example. If you have a basket and you have two oranges inside a basket, right? It is good for the basket because the basket can hold those two oranges, right? But if now you then put 10,000 more oranges in that basket, there's a high probability that that basket will not be able to hold that number of oranges, right? So what that means is you have increased your leverage, right? So leverage gives you support, right? So leverage is good when you make some profit because now you are trading more, right? It also is not good if you are losing, right? So you need to find a good balance when it comes to leverage, right? So you need to keep your leverage at an accommodative level, right? Don't leverage too much, right? Because it is good, yes, if you make some money. It is also bad if you lose money, right? So what I'm simply saying is leverage is an added support, right? So when you see leverage, when you are in the global financial market, just understand leverage is the added support that your broker is giving to you in order for you to buy and sell an asset. Then we then go to what we call pips, right? So pips is simply percentage in points, right? So in simple term, pips is just when an asset moves from $100 to $101, right? So that asset has moved by 1 pip, right? Because it has moved from 100 to 101. If the asset moves from 100 to 102, it means that it has moved by 2 pips, right? If an asset moves from $100 to $103, in simple term, it means that the asset has moved by 3 pips, right? Next, we go to spread. Spread simply means the difference between the ask and the bid price, right? And in order for you to get some more clarity on what spread is, I would recommend you sit through the 2 other webinar classes that you have been recommended to go through, right? So spread is simply the difference between the ask and the bid price, right? So when I mean the ask and the bid price, these assets you are trading online, they were gotten from somewhere, right? So they were bought from somewhere and they are being sold to you, right? So the difference between the buying price and the selling price is what we call spread, right? So I will give an example. If you go to the market and you buy an orange for 5 naira and you are selling it to your brother at 7 naira, the spread of that transaction is 2 naira, right? Because you bought at 5 naira and you are selling at 7 naira, so you are making a gain of 2 naira. So that is simply what spread is. Then we have what we call lot size, right? So lot size is simply the representation of how many units of an asset do you want to buy, or how many units of an asset do you want to sell, right? So lot size would help you to determine that, right? So if you want to buy 100,000 units of an asset, you will use 1 standard lot size, right? Or if you want to buy 10,000 units of an asset, you use 0.01, right? So different assets have different lot size representation, but in general, lot size is simply the value representation of how many units of an asset are you buying, right? Then we have what we call the bid and the ask price, right? So the bid and the ask price, they are both simply telling you what the buying price of the asset is and what the selling price of the asset is. Remember, we are in a market. So if we are in a market, there needs to be a price that we buy an asset and the price in which I will sell it, right? So in the financial market, instead of us to use buy and sell, because we are financial people, because we are investors, we use the ask and the bid price, right? So you are asking and you are bidding for something, right? So you are buying something and you are selling it, right? So that's what we call the ask and the bid price, right? Before I go on, I would like to state or make you remember you can always ask questions in the chat box and I will give you clarity. I would answer your question. So then we have going long and going short. I think we have already addressed this. So going long is when you are buying and going short is when you are selling, right? So I want to believe going forward, if we are talking about the global financial market with our brothers or sisters or husband or wife or your friends or your colleagues, you wouldn't be saying, I bought this asset or I want to buy this asset, right? I would want you to be saying, I went long on an asset, or I went short on an asset, right? It makes people see you in a different light because now they know, okay, Miss Blessing has improved herself, right? She now knows some things I do not know, right? Now she's talking about some financial terms. She's talking about going long or going short, right? So I would like you to change your vocabulary when talking about the financial market. I want to be hearing things like I went long, I went short, right? Or what is the bid price of gold, or what is the ask price of gold, right? So I want to be hearing that going forward, right? Then we talk. We will have what we call the take profit and stop loss, right? So take profit is simply means, or take profit simply means I want to close my trade in a profit, right? If you look at what it states, it says take profit, right? So you are taking your profit. The asset you bought has appreciated in value, right? So you want to take your profit, right? So you want to close your trade, right? While stop loss, if you look at the name, it says stop loss. It means stop my loss. So what that means is if you speculated that the price of gold is going to go from $100 an ounce to $200 an ounce, right? And during the eventuality of your analysis, something happened in the global financial market, or your analysis did not go as planned, it then went in the opposite direction. What that means is this asset is now losing value. So you would also be losing money because it is less profitable to you, because now you are going to sell it at a lesser price that you bought it, right? So the stop loss is a mechanism that you are telling your broker that Mr. EGM, right? I have bought this asset at $100. If this asset drops from $100 and it is declining in value, I want to stop my loss. I want to stop my loss at this price, right? So that is what stop loss is, right? So take profits means I want to take my profits, while stop loss is I want to stop my loss. I want to stop my money from further losses, right? Then lastly, we have some other trading terminologies I would like you to familiarize yourself with. For example, we have the moving average, we have the pivot point, we have what we call the support and resistance, right? We have the Fibonacci retracement, right? You need not to worry about what all these tools are. In the last installment of the 3 webinar classes you have been recommended to attend, we will be shedding more light on these tools, right? So these tools are instruments you use to find, buy, and sell entries, right? So this instrument will tell you Miss Blessing or Mr. Tio or Miss Nancy, it is the right time to buy these assets, or it is the right time to go long, or now is the time to go short, right? So these trading tools would help you to find trade entries, and we'll be shedding more light on them in the 3rd installment of your webinar classes, right? And lastly, before we round up this 3rd section, who are the participants in this market, right? Clearly I cannot be the only one trading, right? So who am I trading with, right? Who are the other people also buying and selling these assets alongside myself, right? So we have the brokerage firms, like your brokers, with the likes of EG Markets. So we are participants in the market, and our role is to get you connected to the global financial market. So we are playing our role, right? Then we also have the exchange, right? That is these different exchanges that help us to determine the price of these assets. Then we have what we call the regulators, right? So these are regulatory bodies that help to guide the affairs of various participants in the market, right? So you need not to worry about when people say the global financial market is not regulated. People in that market do not play by the books, right? So I would like to let you know that they are regulatory bodies that are guiding the affairs of what we do here at EG Markets. Then we also have investors. So investors like you and myself, right, that are buying and selling these assets. Then lastly, we have banks, right? You cannot talk about the global financial market without talking about banks, because banks are the ones that actually keep a majority of currencies and assets. So they also have a role to play when we talk about the global financial market, right? So you can see how we've been able to go from understanding or having a general overview on what the global financial market is about, that is the different markets, um, uh, why people trade the global market, right? And then how do I access these instruments, right? Then we went on to talk about what are these financial instruments I trade. We talked about the currency, we talked about gold, we talked about company shares, right? We then spoke about government bonds. If your broker gives you access to that market, right? Then lastly, we then spoke about various terminologies we need to familiarize ourselves with, where we spoke about going long or going short. We spoke about pips. We spoke about leverage, right? So we've been able to tie all this together to get a grounded understanding of what the global financial market is about, right? So now we do not we cannot call ourselves newbie traders anymore, right? Because now we have a good foundation that we can use going forward with regards to knowing which instruments should I trade. Should I trade currencies? Should I trade stocks? Right? When you are talking to your account manager, or when you are talking to your friend, or when you are reading various materials, and you see things like the assets move 30 pips, you know what that means. Or your educator is telling you to set your stop loss or set your take profits, you know what that means, right? Or you are talking to your broker and you are asking your broker, the spread of this instrument is too wide, or the spread of this asset is very slim, right? So you have an idea of what that means, right? So we've been able to, instill in you the needed foundation that you need in order for you to go ahead and, place some trades in the financial market and see how you can make a profit for yourself, right? So having said all this, I would like to hear from my community, right? So I would like to call us a community, because now we are all on the same playing field with regards to how the financial market works. So I would just like to hear from a couple of us what the few things that stood out for you, and have you been able to get a beginner level on what the financial market is about, and now have you gained some confidence going forward with regards to placing some trades for yourself, right? So I would like to hear from a couple of my attendees. So just type in some of your, what stood out for you, so that I'll be happy that we are making progress with regards to the global financial market. So I'll be looking forward to hearing from Ms. Blessing, Mr. Tio. Mr. Tio, what stood out for you in today's class, and have you gained some level of confidence? Nancy, how have you been doing so far? Who else has been my standout attendee? Mr. Joshua. I want to believe Mr. Joshua is here with us. And as I said, you would have access to these materials after this class, so you can go through the resources again, and a pre-recorded version of today's webinar class will also be sent to you, so you can brush through this at your own leisure time to see how best you can place a trade, right? So Mr. Tio says, I must say I enjoyed the class and I'm looking forward to attending the next class. Okay, I'm happy you enjoyed the class, and we will always be here if you need any support with regards to your trading experience. In the absence of any other question, I want to believe Mr. Tio is speaking for a majority of us all. Just before I let you go, in order for you to see how you can, improve your knowledge of the financial market and, play around with the resources we'll be sending to you, would also like you to know that at EG Markets, we always try to see how we can innovate and bring to the market various products and services that would make your trading experience seamless. I would like to let you know we have a virtual assistant here at EG Markets that will help you with regards to any questions you are willing to ask. So if you are currently on a trade and you don't know what to do next, or you are confused, you can ask the virtual assistant. The virtual assistant is called Harry. You can also get real-time trade signals. You can do a whole lot of things with Harry. All you have to do is just ask, and Harry will be there to give some form of clarity. And in order for you to access Harry, all you have to do is click on the link I'll be sharing with you, right? So just click on the link, and Harry will be there to give you all the needed support you need in order for you to be a successful trader. So I will just drop the link in here. So Harry is currently hosted on Telegram, right? So you can get access to Harry. I just dropped the link there. So I'll be looking forward to seeing a majority of you in the 2 other classes. So Mr. Tio, I'll be looking forward to seeing you next week. So go ahead and educate yourself some more, because the more you know, the more you can do, right? So in the absence of no any other question, I'll be looking forward to seeing everybody in the next webinar class. And bye for now, and enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, the more you practice, the better you become, right? So sit down at your convenience and, brush through some of the things I spoke about today, and see how it gives you some confidence going forward with regards to the global financial market, right? So bye, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Okay, Mr. Tio, thank you also.